Hello there, everyone. How you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled people, where the people are, as you would probably guess, very, very entitled. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, do these 4 things. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and hit the notification bell. Doing these 4 things ensure the video will do incredible in the YouTube algorithm. Now, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Do you know who my husband is? This is actually something that happened to me over 20 years ago, but for some reason it just popped into my head, and since it fits here, well, here we are. When my now ex-husband was stationed at an Air Force base along the Gulf Coast, I worked in the layaway customer service gift wrapping department at the back of the base exchange, and there had already been there for over a year. I was very well liked by both my coworkers and supervisors. Usually at this department, it's kind of just walk in, get what you need, as it's usually not super busy. However, beginning not long after Halloween and into the new year, it got horribly busy, and at that point, it was required everyone pull a number from the ticket dispenser at the entryway to the department. Once the holiday season began, it was absolutely a hard, fast rule, no matter what. One weekend day, we were wall-to-wall people from the moment we opened the registers. We were busy. It got so bad we had to call a couple people over from other departments for the sole purpose of ringing through layaways so people in our department could do nothing but gift wrap and grab layaways from the back that were being paid in full. I was at the register that was doing payments only on layaways. Not even PIFs, just payments. I'm waiting on a customer when I happen to glance up and see a woman walk through the entryway and come straight to my register. No number grabbing, nothing. Just walked up straight to me and interrupted me with the customer I was currently assisting.
You'll need to help me immediately. I'm in a rush and can't wait very long.
Ma'am, while I can appreciate that, everyone here has somewhere else they'd like to be. If you'd like, just grab a numbered ticket there. And her interrupting me,
I don't have time for that. You need to just assist me now.
At this point, I'd finished up with the customer I was helping, and turned to click on the now being served, which was the number I called out. Number 75, next customer, 75, please. Her now turning purple because she's mad.
Excuse me. You need to help me now. Do you know who my husband is?
Unless he's number 75, it really doesn't matter. As if this isn't enough of a mic drop, this is where it gets good. She's now apoplectic and demands to speak with my manager. Fair enough, let's go get her from the back where she's pulling PIF layaways and counting cash to be deposited in the main safe because our registers are getting full. Me to the supervisor, I'm paraphrasing because it's been so long ago. Mary, this customer walked in, didn't take a number, came right to my register and demanded I take care of her ahead of a couple dozen customers who patiently waited. I asked her to pull a number, but she refused, and then asked me if I knew who her husband was. I should tell you, I told her unless it was number 75, it didn't really matter. Mary comes out to the registers and walks up to the woman and says, Ma'am, I'm this employee's supervisor, and she tells me you'd like to talk to me?
Yes, this...
And my supervisor held her hand up and cut the woman off and said, Ma'am, I'd love to help you right this second, but as you can see, we're really busy. If you can just pull a number, I'll speak with you when it's your turn. At that, Mary turned around and walked back to the pulled PIF layaways. I wish I could describe the range of emotions that this customer experienced before she finally turned on her heels and left in a huge huff. Then, to add insult to injury, just as this woman was departing, another customer, I have no idea why, said loud enough for the room to hear, Get back to us when your husband's more than a lieutenant. Best customer service day ever. Entitled to other people's money while being reckless with theirs. Oh man, I know this one person, absolutely reckless with money. To give more context, we're on the same student loan program and get $1,000 monthly. I cannot make this up. 1,000 is often gone within the first 2 weeks of the month. The housing we have is either paid in full or in installments per semester, so it's not going towards that besides maybe twice a year. Knowing them fairly well, the only thing they realistically need to buy during the average month is groceries and school supplies. Back to the entitlement part. I seriously don't know how someone wouldn't feel bad for this, but they ask their dad for money multiple times during the month. You would think they'd save it and only use it for essentials, considering they have $0 to the name, right? No. They still act recklessly with it and only have the audacity to ask their dad for more later. It's also not paid back to the dad, which makes it even worse. There's no attempt at changing their spending habits. They literally joke about it and say shit like that. Like,
One thing about me, I always find a way to get money.
it's not just their dad they feel entitled to money from. It's myself and my friends too. There have been quite a few occasions where they'll make plans, or say they can come to plans made by others that require some type of payment, clubbing, special events, and so on. But because we know their spending habits and they often vocalize they don't have any money prior to planning events, we often respond with, "But I thought you didn't have any money." So they obviously just assume that someone would pay for them. On occasion, everyone will agree to split the cost for an Uber home. And right after paying for it, they say something like, "I'll pay you back when I get my money next month," without even bothering to see if that's okay in the first place. But God forbid anyone owes them money and hasn't sent it in a millisecond after they pay for it, while they wait a month to pay you back. I don't give them a single penny now because it didn't take me long to realize they have no intent of actually putting forth the effort and to try and be more responsible with their money. It's infuriating, but also unfortunate that the only way I can even think of them ever changing their habit is through a very rude awakening, where they no longer have anyone to depend on. Bus driver thought I should jaywalk for him and now has a weirdly intense beef with me after I refused. I don't know if I would call what he does bullying or not, but all I know is that he does not like me. I work at a university that has an extensive shuttle system around the campus and surrounding city as part of my commute. I take one of the many shuttles to the building I work in. There's an app that tracks the shuttle location and shows the stop locations too. Anyway, one day I was approaching the bus stop where I saw one of the shuttles sitting there, parked. The drivers often take 5 to 10 minute breaks at particular stops along their route, and when I looked at the app, it said the bus wasn't supposed to reach its next destination a few blocks away for another 10 minutes. So I figured I'd have time to get to the crosswalk, cross the street, and get to the shuttle. When I did and got on the bus, the driver, let's call him George, who is one of these fake manly Sam Elliott wannabes, scoffed and said to me,
"You could have just cut across the street, kid. There was nobody coming."
I told him that even if there was nobody in the street, I wasn't going to jaywalk because it's dangerous. Common sense, right? George didn't think so. He laughed and warned me not to think I could take my sweet time catching up to a shuttle, because he had a schedule to keep, and was told not to waste his time. I asked him when he was planning to depart because I was going off what the app said, but he said it didn't matter because he could have been leaving at any minute and that I was lucky he let me on at the stop he was scheduled to be at that time. I didn't want to continue the stupid argument, so I just said, "I'm not jaywalking," and took a seat. We ended up sitting at the stop for another 5 minutes before he left. So why tell me to do something that could have gotten me hurt? The next day I arrive at the same crosswalk, same time, and there's George sitting parked in the shuttle across the street waiting. He sees me and gets this weird smirk on his face. Despite the app saying he wasn't going to arrive at the next stop 2 blocks away for 10 minutes, he all of a sudden grabs his steering wheel and turns off his blinker, despite not being able to go until I crossed the street because I was at a red light. I stepped into the shuttle and he says, "What would have happened if I drove off right now?" I looked at him bewildered and go, "I would have waited for another shuttle," before sitting down. He scoffs again and takes off immediately, making it to the next stop and sitting there for his break instead. The third interaction we had, he was ready to peel off, but the red light gave me the time it took to get across the street and approach the bus doors. He didn't even look at me when I got on, telling me rudely to sit down. I barely had a chance to do so before he started moving the shuttle. This time I plainly asked him what his issue was with me, since if I offended him in some way, I don't know what I did. And to that he said, "You waste so much of my time at the crosswalk, kid. You could just cross the street." I was genuinely confused and asked him if the bus schedule needs to be updated, if he needs to leave the stop that urgently. He replied, "That's not the point. If I'm waiting for you, you hurry up, even if I'm not waiting for you." At that point, I realized I was arguing with somebody who got some kind of power trip off of driving a shuttle. I told him you should never encourage someone to break the law to catch a bus, and he just didn't answer. After that exchange, every time he sees me approaching the crosswalk to the stop, he suddenly ends his brake and drives away from the light the minute the light turns green. If there are other people at the stop with me, he'll scowl at me while I get on and act really put upon when other people thank him once he reaches their stop. It's so stupid. I've tried to memorize which bus numbers he drives, but with the university shuffling around employees due to various layoffs and funding issues, he's been surprising me at other stops. Sometimes you'll see me at a stop waiting and go or stop a couple of bus lengths away from the stop to make me jog to the shuttle. Or he'll pretend not to see me at the stop if I'm alone and drive right past unless I wave him down. I have reported him to the university, but I get no response other than, "They're looking into it." I have also started using other lines and stops than the ones he typically stops at, but like I said, he surprises me sometimes. My job is too far to walk from the bus stops my commute usually takes me, so unless I feel like running, the shuttles are the most viable option. Regardless of my options, I shouldn't feel victimized for wanting to ride a bus. It's just weird. Entitled woman hits our car and blames us. For a small bit of context, we live in the US, so we drive on the right side of the road, and the passenger side is the right side of the car. My local grocery store is located in a small shopping center directly off of one of the main roads that pass through my town. Behind the shopping center is a fence cutting it off from a side road, and across that road is a playground and field area for soccer and other such sports. Surrounding this park and behind it are blocks worth of houses. Because of this, both the park side of the road and the shopping center have parking spaces, and there are 2 intentional holes in the fence made by the shopping center, so people from the community can pass through the fence to reach the shops. The road is also wide enough to have 1 lane of traffic between the parked cars. On to the story. My family lives about 3 short blocks behind the shopping center, so instead of going in the long way and parking in the shopping center parking lot, my husband and I regularly park along the fence in one of the marked parking spots and walk through the fence to shop at the grocery store. On this day, we had somebody following behind us as we went to park right in the spot. My husband, who was driving, I was in the passenger seat, turned on the blinker, found a spot, and went to make the right turn to it. The woman driving behind us thought it was a brilliant idea to keep going straight to go around us on the passenger side. So as you can expect, she hits the passenger side, right where the door's hinge is located, and then scrapes along the side to the front. My husband and I are shocked, but pull up a bit further to a spot about 2 or 3 down, park and get out of the car to inspect the damage and find out what happened. I had trouble opening my door, but after a small bit of force managed to get it open. The damage wasn't too bad, but we were definitely shook. Then, before we had a chance to react, the woman charged at us, screaming that we were irresponsible and hit her. Luckily, we had a witness that was loading up her own car with groceries, and she got between us and berated the woman for screaming at us, and told her what she did was illegal, and she had hit us. The woman stood her ground and demanded we pay for the damages to her car, as I was going straight and you hit me. I called the cops to take a report, and my husband and her exchanged insurance information, which she gave us problems with too at first, because she claimed she didn't have a phone with her, and then all of a sudden had one when the cops came. The cop, taking both sides of our story, tried very hard to explain to her that what she did was wrong. He got her to agree that it's a one-lane road. He got her to agree that we were making the right into a parking spot. When he tried to explain that she can't go around someone on a one-lane road making a right, she kept telling him that she had the right because she was going straight and we were turning, and then demanded we pay for her damages. This went on for almost an hour until the cop pinched his nose like he was getting a headache and gave up, telling her to take it up with the insurance company. Unfortunately, as it's still recent, I don't have a follow-up to this, but you'd think that even if a cop is telling you that you're wrong and trying to explain to you that you're a child, you would at least wonder that maybe you're wrong. Sorry if this story isn't as satisfying as others, but wanted to share my recent experience with a wild entitled person. I hope everyone has a wonderful entitled person-free day. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed the stories I had for you. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Just a couple emojis will do just fine. And hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new uploads. I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta.